Welcome back to the bright side. We're going to finish talking, we're going to begin to finish talking about anxiety. We'll get to some supplements, a little bit, anti-anxiety supplements that you could use. Yesterday, by the way, I did a talk with Dixie Sedgwick, a phone conversation. We do these every Sunday. If you're interested in joining myself and Dixie on our Sunday call, 605-562-3140 is the number. Participant access code 444-973-POUND. Yesterday we talked about sleep, and we talked about some supplements that you could use to help you fall asleep. And these are the same supplements that are involved in relaxing the body if you're dealing with anxiety issues, and we'll be talking about that here in a little bit. We'll also continue talking about nitric oxide. There's an important relationship between nitric oxide and anxiety. Nitric oxide levels are associated with feelings of anxiety. This makes sense. Nitric oxide is an emergency type substance that gets jacked up when we're wounded or when we need to flee or when we need to fight. Fight or flight response is associated with nitric oxide. We'll also talk a little bit about nitrates. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were all about eliminating nitrates from their diet. And a lot of folks still think there's something wrong with dietary nitrates and nitrites. Back in the, maybe 10 years ago or so, 10, 15 years ago, nitrates and nitrites were being associated with cancer. As it turns out, nitrates are very, very important dietary nutritional substances. And if you've been listening to our conversation about nitric oxide for the last couple of weeks, it should come as no surprise that despite conventional wisdom, dietary nitrates are actually an important part of good health. And in fact, many of the benefits that are associated with eating vegetables, particularly green leafy vegetables like lettuce and cabbage, many of the benefits associated with these kinds of substances are associated or linked to their nitrate content. How do you like that? Nitrates are... Heretofore, we've been taught that nitrates are cancer-causing. You got to eliminate nitrates, but as it turns out, nitrates are actually a very important part of a healthy diet via their connection to green leafy vegetables. Plants and nitrogen go hand in hand, as we've said so many times in this program. And, of course, nitrogen goes into making nitrates. Anyway, we'll be talking about that here in a little bit. For now, I just want to say a few more things about anxiety from a health perspective. The essence of life is polarity. Life is about polarity. Without polarity, nothing exists. Polarity can be thought of as opposites. And leaving aside the spiritual and philosophical implications of polarity and duality, theologists and philosophers have been debating the problem of duality and good and evil for centuries. Leaving this aside, if the essence of life is polarity, by the way, is manifested by light. Light is what polarity looks like. When God said, let there be light, what he was saying was, let there be polarity. Polarity means duality, positive and negative, light and dark, good and bad, on and off. In reality, examples of polarity are everywhere. We got good and bad. We got filled and empty. We got easy and hard. We got soft and hard. We got hot and cold. Wherever you look, there is polarity. Without polarity, there's no livingness. Likewise in the body, polarity abounds, firing and not firing in terms of nerve cells, stimulus and response in terms of biochemistry, contraction and relaxation in terms of muscles. Perhaps the most fundamental, basic polarity in the body is survival and thrival. I don't think a day has gone by on the bright side where we have not talked about survival and thrival. These are related to another important polarity, break down and build up. And you can think of this as we're talking about anxiety, this idea of me against you, us against them, me against you, us against them mentality. This fear mentality is a great way to shut down your body's ability to thrive. We will not be able to thrive when we're in a me against you, us against them state. When we're in a me against you, us against them state, and we're encouraged to be in this state. Everywhere you turn, this idea of fear is stuck in our heads, to be afraid of them, to be afraid of others, this dog-eat-dog adversarial cultural system where we are always in opposition to something. This cannot be an accident. Those in power, those who set this system up, have to understand that when we're in this opposition mode, we cannot maintain health. Whether this opposition mode, this adversarial system, this adversarial perspective is us against the government, or police and criminals, or customers and salespeople, or employers and employees, or whether it involves other countries. It's a way to maintain power and control in an authority trip, George Orwell wrote about this in a sort of fictional, not really fictional sense in 1984. He called it a state of perpetual war. And we are in a state of perpetual war. There always has to be an enemy in order for an authoritarian system to maintain its control. This perspective, this way of looking at the world, this us against them way of looking at the world is reptilian in the sense that it's associated with the part of the brain that's called the reptilian brain. This is the part of the brain that's concerned with basic survival behavior, breathing, digesting, circulation, elimination, movement, and posture. These are all regulated by the part of the brain that's called the reptilian brain, and no surprise, so is what we call fight or flight. And all of this is to say that if we're looking at the world as being a threat, if we're looking at the world in this us against them fashion, we are going to be in catabolic, breakdown, atrophy, shrinkage, contraction mode. I always think of the little potato bug that you stick a pin in and he curls up into a ball. That's what our bodies and our metabolism is like. It gets curled up in a ball when we're in fear. Fear is about contraction. Peace of mind, thrival is about expansion. When we're in catabolic, breakdown, contraction, atrophy, fear mode, we are not going to be able to thrive. And healing is about thriving. Reversing degenerative disease is about thriving. So when we're in this fear mode, we're not going to be able to heal. We're not going to be able to reverse our degenerative disease. In fact, it could be said that dis-ease, the word is very instructive here, dis-ease is really about fear. It's about a lack of ease. It's about a lack of thrival. We're not going to be able to experience peace of mind. We're not going to be able to experience healing, health. We're not going to be able to experience wellness when we are in fear mode. This alone should be an incentive to all of us, especially if we're dealing with degenerative disease, to wean ourselves off of this addiction to fear. And make no mistake about it, it is addictive. Fear is addictive from a biochemical standpoint. The biochemistry of fear, the biochemicals associated with fear, are biochemicals that we can become addicted to. Now, if the threat is real, that's one thing. If there's really a lion at our door, that's, obviously we got to run. If the threat is real, we got to get out of the situation. We don't have time to concern ourselves with thrival or healing or building muscle or supporting the immune system or fighting viruses. If there's a tiger around, we got to run. Viruses and bacteria and strengthening the immune system, they're for later. In other words, we're not going to be at our best from a biochemical or biological perspective when we are in this imaginary state, this imaginary fear state. Now, if we have to run, we got to run. If there's a lion around, there's a lion around. But for the most part, our fears are based on our imagination. To the extent that we're in fear for our survival, even if the threat is only imagined, we will be shrinking. We will be atrophying, and we will be in accelerated aging mode. I've been in the skincare business for many, many years, and let me tell you something. Relaxation and Thrival is the best anti-aging skin product there is. And fear, us against them, me against you, is the most powerful wrinkle-causing substance you could ever deal with, or wrinkle-causing in situation or circumstance you could ever deal with. Fear is about contraction. Wrinkles are about contraction. Lousy skin is about contraction. Lousy health is about contraction. Yes, it's critical for survival, but it's kind of like your computer on safe mode. Yes, you need to have your computer on safe mode if it's messed up, and it can do the basics on safe mode, but that's going to be it. Safety, on the other hand, is about connection. It's about oneness. It's about unity, and it is associated with the healing process. We have to tell the body it's safe. We have to communicate to the body that it is safe. And in the brain, this reflection of this primal duality of fear and thrival, in the brain, this can be thought of as two systems or two programs, two distinct computer programs. Nature has hardwired into us bioelectrical pathways, nerves, if you will, that when they're activated will produce either the sensation of fear or the sensation of love, the sensation of peace, the sensation of safety. Fear is contraction, the opposite of fear, which is love, is expansion. If you don't like the word love, safety. This is not anxiety. I'm not talking about anxiety when I talk about fear. Anxiety is a kind of low-level, sustained version, long-term version of fear. The biological wiring that's associated with fear over the course of time will link into anxiety, but fear is much more primal. This biological wiring in our nervous system links the outside world, its sights, its sounds, tastes, touches, and smells, with the brain and its extensions, the nose and the skin and the ears, and it interprets the information that's coming in as whether that information, the stuff that's coming in from the outside world, is whether it's a threat or whether it's not. If the brain determines that what it's seeing or smelling or hearing is a survival threat, it's going to initiate the physiology of fear. That is hypertension and a high blood pressure and a shutdown of the digestive system and a sense of anxiety, a sense of foreboding, and this is all going to affect various parts of the body, especially the immune system. If this fear is sustained over the course of long term, we're going to call it anxiety. Anxiety is basically the way fear feels like. The interesting thing about this sense of anxiety is that in addition to being activated from psychology, this is so important, you guys, in addition to having anxiety being activated by psychological issues, thoughts and emotions that are induced from the outside world, or jobs or bills or relationships, this sense of anxiety can be initiated from the body itself. This is so important because this is a place where we can control our anxiety. Our brain will read our high blood pressure and say, oh my gosh, we should be anxious now. Our brain will read our muscle contraction and say, oh my God, we should be anxious now. So if we could figure out a way to relax our muscles, we can suppress the anxiety response. I'll continue. Okay, we are back on the bright side. I am Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. A couple more things I want to say about anxiety issues, and tomorrow we'll just talk about some supplements, then we'll get into nitric oxide. I'm not going to be able to complete everything I want to say about anxiety here. I'll probably write about it on my blog. A guy named William James, some of you may have heard of William James. He's said to be the father of psychology, and he wrote a lot about psychological issues in the late 19th century, early 20th century. He wrote a book called The Gospel of Relaxation. You can get this book for 99 cents on Kindle. Love my Kindle, by the way. 99 cents is it's amazing for all this information you're going to get for 99 cents from William James in The Gospel of Relaxation. Anyway, he says something very interesting. He says that we can control our anxiety from the bottom up as well as from the top down. In other words, we can control our anxiety, obviously, by changing our thoughts and how we think, our mentality, but we can also change it by changing our body from the bottom up. So typically, our thoughts will affect our body, but as it turns out, our body also affects our thoughts. How our body is positioned, for example. Our posture can affect our thoughts. Our posture can affect our anxiety. It's hard to be anxious. It's hard to be depressed if you're holding your chest out and you're holding your shoulders back, for example. Smiling, just moving your muscles, the facial muscles that cause you to smile, moving them upwards in the shape of a smile can mitigate anxiety. You can touch the parasympathetic nerves, the relaxation nerves in the bottom of your feet or the top of your mouth with your tongue. If you touch your top of your mouth with your tongue, you can stimulate the relaxation response. Massaging the bottom of your feet, lightly touching your skin can activate the relaxation response and quiet down the anxiety response. Deep breathing, we've talked about this. We talk about this all the time. Slow, deep breathing is probably the best way to reduce the anxiety response. Relaxing the muscles, hot water, immersion therapy. All the strategies we talk about for activating the so-called parasympathetic nervous system can help mitigate and soften the blow of anxiety. These are all things that we have in our control. All ways that we can access the relaxation response to kick in the healing, the regenerating system that is built into the human body. All of this is to say we can address our own anxiety and really all our mental health issues from two directions. From the outside in, that involves changing the stuff in our world, if you will, and from the inside out, that means changing our thoughts and changing our body position. We can change our situation, we can change our relationships, our jobs, our financial conditions, we can move to a different city, we can get a divorce, whatever. These kinds of strategies can be helpful, but because circumstances are always changing one way or another, it's kind of like bailing water out of a leaky boat to try to change your circumstances. There's always going to be some circumstance that you're going to be anxious of or some circumstance that could be fear-inducing. But because the root, the core of anxiety is in the body, it's much simpler to change anxiety-inducing situations, to change anxiety from the inside out, whether it's changing our thoughts, mentality or by changing our bodies. All right, tomorrow we'll talk about some nutritional supplements that we could use to change our brain chemistry, to go from fear mode to thrival mode, to go from survival mode to thrival mode. And it should come as no surprise that nutritional deficiencies are a great way to induce anxiety, especially when it involves the digestive system. We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue talking about anxiety, and then we'll get to some stuff about nitrates and nitric oxide as well. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. 844-236-6010 is our number. Patty in Kansas, welcome to The Bright Side.
Yes, I was wondering...
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a friend that's on warfarin, and what can she substitute for that?
Well, there's no substitute for warfarin. I get this question a lot. You don't substitute for drugs, okay? You don't take...
Okay.
You don't want to think about it that way. Warfarin, also known as rat poison, because it's a major blood thinner, awful drug, one of the most awful. Blood thinning drugs are among the most awful of all therapeutic classifications. The blood thinning classification is among the most hideous because the body doesn't want to be forced to thin the blood. The body doesn't like playing around with the blood. The blood is the sacred space, and to pharmacologically induce blood thinning with a drug is a very, very poor medical strategy. It's based on science from the early 20th century and the mid-20th century. It's really a bad idea. But there's no way to control that, to control blood thinning or blood clotting using a nutritional supplement, because if the blood wants to clot, the blood was going to clot. Clotting is part of the survival mechanism. There are nutrients that will thin the blood, but more importantly, you want to ask, why is the blood clotting in the first place? And you'll always find that it's because the blood is dirty. Dirty blood leads to clotted blood, period. Dirty blood comes from the digestive system for the most part. Nutritional deficiencies can exacerbate the situation, but the first thing you want to think about is the digestive system. Food goes in the digestive tract, and it's supposed to go into the blood in a very controlled fashion. It's supposed to get filtered through the liver before it enters into the system, the blood system in general. But if we have breakdowns in the digestive tract, food will enter into the bloodstream in an uncontrolled, chaotic fashion, and this will cause, over time, this will cause an immune response, a defensive response in the blood, and that's what blood clotting is. Blood clotting is a defensive response in the blood. So what you want to do first and foremost is you want to start to patch up the digestive system, and there's a million ways to do it. Number one, probiotics, always the first. So for your friend, get her on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, Patty, immediately. You might also try the Fucoidan Z. Fucoidan Z is kind of interesting because Fucoidan coats and soothes and helps accelerate the healing of the digestive tract, and it also has some blood thinning properties too. Fucoidan, the active ingredient in the Fucoidan Z, multiple benefits. How do you spell that? It's spelled F as in Frank, U as in uncle, C as in cat, O as in Oscar, I as in igloo, D as in David, A as in apple, N as in Nancy, and then the letter Z as in zebra. 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night. And as I say, you get multiple benefits for the digestive system as well as for the circulatory system. Make sure she's focusing on her fatty vitamins, especially vitamin E and essential fatty acids. You'll get that in the Healthy Start Pack. The omega-3 essential fatty acids have blood-thinning properties, as does vitamin E. She may want to take a little extra vitamin E, by the way, maybe 400 IU a day. Tell her doctor she's doing it because the vitamin E may thin the blood, and in combination with the warfarin, it may thin the blood too much. So tell the doctor, have her tell her doctor that she's on a supplement program. And then if she's got any problem foods, she's got to eliminate those. Best to do a food diary. See what kind of foods are triggering constipation, diarrhea, loose stools, bloating, gas, heartburn, etc., and then eliminate those foods. So for warfarin, number one, you're going to patch up the digestive system. Number two, and that means patching it up and also eliminating problem foods. And number two, getting on a good nutritional supplement program that features omega-3 essential fatty acids as well as vitamin E. And you'll get all that in the Healthy Start Pack. You don't want to necessarily look at substituting warfarin. You want to look at eliminating the need for warfarin or any of the blood thinners. The newer blood thinners are only slightly better, by the way. And blood thinning should always, always, always be regarded as a sign of a body in distress. Emergency mode in the body. The blood will clot because the body thinks, oh my God, I'm going to be eaten by a tiger. We better clot the blood so we don't hemorrhage to death. That's why they give you blood thinners after surgery. After surgery, the blood will clot really quickly because obviously surgery is like being eaten by a tiger, basically. And so the blood clotting response kicks in immediately after surgery, and they'll put you on heparin and warfarin and send you home with Coumadin or some blood thinner for months at a time. So warfarin, Coumadin, blood thinning, blood clotting, these are all part of the body's stress response. Calm the body down. By the way, deep breathing is another way to thin the blood. Lack of oxygen is a major inducer of blood clotting. So practicing slow, deep breathing techniques as well. Thanks so much for your call, Patty. Appreciate it. And we'll, if you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Blood clotting is a part of the emergency response system. And the bright side is nothing if it's not about the simplicity of reversing degenerative disease. If you're dealing with blood clotting issues, consider it that your body is under major stress. Blood clotting just doesn't occur spontaneously, and it takes a long time for the blood to start to clot because clotting and circulatory health is so tightly regulated by the body. If your blood is clotting, it means some kind of distress has been going on in the body, either dramatically or over the course of a long term. Usually the digestive system is involved. A lack of oxygen, hypoxia, low levels of blood oxygen can be involved. Relax the body. Practice deep breathing. Eliminate problem foods. Make sure you're on a nutritional supplement program. Stabilize the blood sugar. All of these are all general health strategies, and it should come as no surprise they're going to be important for circulatory system health as well. If you're looking for specific supplements, as we were saying, vitamin E and omega-3 fatty acids are associated with blood thinning. However, you don't want to look at using nutrients the way doctors use drugs. That's called allopathic nutrition, where you use nutrients like drugs. And even though nutrients can have a medicinal effect on the body, you don't want to think about it that way. You want to think about nutrients as being part of a good overall health program and good food and digestive strategies as well, rather than using nutrients to target specific health illnesses the way doctors use drugs to target nutritional specific health issues. All right, Charlie in Kentucky, what's up? Welcome to The Bright Side, buddy.
Hi, Ben. Thank you. I'm going to have mole removed, and I was wondering if you could tell me what products to use before and after.
Topical vitamin C before and after. As a matter of fact, why don't you send me an email, ben@ksco.com. Say Charlie from Kentucky is going. Just put in the headline, in the subject, Charlie from Kentucky. Put your address and your phone number in there, and I'll send you out a freebie. Topical vitamin C. And we'll be selling this product here in the next couple of weeks, too. But it's really, really important to use vitamin C on any area that's going to be cut before surgery as well as after surgery. All right? Topical vitamin C. Yeah, send an email, ben@ksco.com, and give me a couple days to get to it, and I'll send it out to you. Topical vitamin C, fatty vitamin C, always. It's hard to find fatty vitamin C, which is why I came up with the Truth products, which are going to feature fatty vitamin C, lipophilic vitamin C, as it said. Anything else?
Great.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, man.
All right. Take care, buddy. All right, Steve in Florida, what's up? Welcome to The Bright Side. Do we have Steve? Steve?
Sure.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing? It's good talking to you again, Ben.
Hey, good to talk to you. What's going on?
I had a two-part question for you.
Sure.
I got off the top roll I've been on it 7 years. I got off of it. I was off of it a few months. I had.
Hey, Steve, I'm having a hard time hearing you. You got me on speaker?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Now say that again. You got off of what?
I got off the metoprolol.
Oh, metoprolol. Okay, got it. Did you have high blood pressure, or did you have a heart problem, or what's the deal? Why'd they put you on?
I had the white coat syndrome. My doctor.
Okay.
White coat syndrome.
So in other words, just for the listeners, Steve, white coat high blood pressure is when you walk into the doctor's office, and just because of the doctor's office, you get high blood pressure. So of course he medicated you for that. You must have loved being on the metoprolol. How'd that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel pretty lousy. Actually, I got off of it with the doctor's help. I was off of it for 2 months, and I was hospitalized with AFib.
Okay.
And this was back in October, and they did an echocardiogram and saw I had a aorta leaking valve causing the problem. So they stuck me back on the top roll in Lanoxin.
Oh, my God. Just for the listeners, Lanoxin is another hideous cardiovascular heart drug that poisons the heart. That's how they're working on you, buddy. They're poisoning your heart. That's what the metoprolol does. It poisons the heart. Make no mistake about it. They're not going to tell you that, but that's what it does. It poisons cardiocytes, heart cells, and the Lanoxin does exactly the same thing. This is the stupidity of the medical model. This is why I get so upset. And this is why I do this program. The logic of this is the logic they're using. We'll poison the heart to slow it down. That's what they're doing to you, and that way your blood pressure will be slower, and your heart will be less likely to go into arrhythmia. Do you want some help with all of this?
Yeah, because my heart rate's already gone down to 43.
Well, of course, it's poisoned. So here's what you need to do. And again, I hate to sound like I'm just repeating myself, but I am repeating myself because it's all basically the same thing. We talked about blood clotting with the last caller. We're talking about arrhythmias and hypertension with Steve, but it's the same thing. Hypertension, high blood pressure, cardiac arrhythmias, these are signs that the body is freaked out. It's just like you have a baby that's freaked out, except it's your body that's freaked out. So you got to love your body, just like you love your baby. You nurture your body like you nurture your baby. Number one, slow, deep breathing. We got to tell Steve, you got to tell the body it's safe. Your body thinks it's about to die. Your body thinks a tiger is about to bite your head off. You think your body wants to be in a chronic state of being afraid the head is going to come off of its body, off of your body? No. That's terrible. Now, you may notice that you have arrhythmias. You may notice that you have high blood pressure. But what you're not noticing is that you're aging at an accelerated pace and you're shortening your lifespan. So you got to calm the body down. First, practice deep breathing. Sit on the couch. Get yourself an app if you have a smartphone called My Calm Beat, or another one called Bio Breathing. Sit on the couch. Practice slow, deep breathing for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes at a time, once or twice a day. The more you do, the better. Just that alone is going to lower your blood pressure. White coat hypertension is the opposite. White coat hypertension is when you're freaked out by the doctor, so your blood pressure goes up. So we got to calm the body down. Yes, sir?
But you know what? They're saying the aorta valve leakage is causing.
Well, that's because it's under constant duress. Yes, it probably is. You probably do have at this point. You probably have some valve issues because your heart and your circulatory system are in constant duress. The blood is being pushed really hard. The pressure is much higher than it should be. All of this can affect the valves, of course. That makes sense. But the problem isn't the valve. That's the symptom. That's the sign of the problem. The problem isn't the hypertension. That's the sign of the problem. The problem isn't the arrhythmia. That's the sign of the problem. The problem is the body is under duress. Does that make sense how I'm explaining this?
It does.
Okay.
I use magnesium.
Well, let's not go into I'm using this, I'm using that. I wanted you to get the general concept first. We got to calm the body down. Okay?
Right.
Now, so oxygen's number one. The biggest emergency to the body is low oxygen. So calm the body down with oxygen, first and foremost. I should say respiration, because it's the exhale where you're blowing off carbon dioxide where the relaxation response kicks in. So powerful exhalation, even a sighing, even just making the sighing sound like this, just like that, that will lower your blood pressure. You can even feel it. Right. If you do that once, you'll even feel it. All right, no doctors required here. No medical model required here. Secondly, stabilizing your blood sugar, hyper and hypo, high and low blood sugar is also an emergency to the body. So keeping the blood sugar stable by staying off of foods that spike the blood sugar. You know the suspects. The most likely suspects are bread and pasta and sweets and desserts and soda pop and pies and cakes and candies and potatoes and rice, etc. So make sure you're keeping your intake of sugar down. Dilute your blood sugar with more water. If you fall off the wagon, you eat dessert, make sure you're drinking a lot of water to dilute your blood sugar. Also, first thing in the morning, sometimes that helps. And then using nutrients that stabilize the blood sugar. Magnesium's a great one, by the way. So stay on that magnesium. Stay on that. Absolutely stay on that. Chromium and vanadium in the sweeties, those can also help stabilize the blood sugar. There's no more important nutrients for stabilizing the blood sugar and for calming the body down than the B complex and vitamin C. So make sure you're getting plenty of those. Plenty of the B complex, plenty of vitamin C. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is loaded with both of those. And then also, the last step is going to be the digestive system. As soon as toxins get into the blood through the digestive system, you will go into an emergency response. So you want to make sure that you're staying away from any foods that cause digestive distress. You may want to do a food diary to control that, to monitor foods that are causing digestive distress, and then, of course, eliminate those foods. The Fucoidin Z has a dual role to play when it comes to helping you with your circulatory system and your digestive system. It'll cover both of those. So maybe take 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night of the Fucoidin Z. The Biolumin Nightly Essence. Probiotics are very important. If you got the wrong kind of bacteria or not enough of the right kind of bacteria in the gut, that can cause blood reactions, especially problems with with high blood pressure, hypertension, also maybe some heart problems. So make sure you're using the Biolumin Nightly Essence, 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night. If you can fast, that will help your circulatory system in a dramatic fashion. 1 day a week, or intermittently fasting, picking a day to just not eat. If you have a hard time with fasting, use the Suero V from Longevity. For Jordan Rubin's Suero V, you can find out about that on my website, brightsideben.com. I love the Suero V. It makes a fast really easy to do, and everybody should be practicing intermittent fasting, whether you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease or not. Listen, you guys, health is not complicated. Health is not a doctor issue. Unless you've been hit by a bus or, some kind of traumatic injury takes place, it's none of the doctor's business what's happening in your blood. It's none of the doctor's business what's happening in your blood sugar or in your digestive system. It's our business, and we have the power. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for listening, folks. We'll continue talking about anxiety, get to some supplements for anxiety tomorrow, and then continue talking about nitrates and nitrites. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You've been listening to The Bright Side. Have a spectacular, wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.